One thing that makes the Provo Advantage is the creativity. And one way that creativity is expressed is through music. In this month's Provo Advantage, we are going to speak with one of the people responsible for creating the great music scene here, Corey Fox, owner of Velour Live Music Gallery. The Velour has been a cultural hotspot in Provo for over a decade and a half, responsible for being the launching off platform for bands such as Imagine Dragons, Neon Trees, The Aces, Backseat Lovers, The Moth and the Flame, The National Parks, Fictitious, Lindsey Sterling, Joshua James, and many other great bands.
We're in a unique culture here.
The unique culture that Corey Fox is referring to is that 80 to 90% of Provo's population are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
It's a very conservative culture, but it's a culture where everyone growing up learns instruments. They all can sing. They sing in church. But then they leave their homes from all over the country, and Provo's a melting pot. They all come here, but now they're finding themselves as a person, and that reflects in their music as well. They're not just playing church songs. Now they're finding their own voice with creativity. But I think what Velour brings to the table is a structure. Like, you don't get that everywhere.
Several music venues have come and gone to Provo, but Velour has outlasted them all. If there's one thing for sure about Velour, it's a platform for cultivating musical talent.
If you think of growing up, like, where would you be without the influence of your parents, your teachers, coaches? And I think that's what we try to do here at Velour. It's actually run, which the mayor will understand, run very much like a sports program. Like you get your starters that you're focused on at the same time. It's a college town, you know, they're not going to be here forever, so you're focused on them. You're trying to help build them. At the same time, you're trying to help the younger guys build up to be the next crew that steps in. And the only way for this scene to stay on the level that it's been is to keep kind of that conveyor belt going, but it takes a structure. It doesn't just happen.
Corey Fox made the Provo Advantage before it was a label, not only providing a safe space for youth and young adults, but raising up a creative cultural crop here at the Velour.
So again, Provo, they all come here as a melting pot, but I think the important part is putting a structure around that to help them accomplish more than they would on their own.
So what do you think Velour's greatest accomplishment is in the 16 years you've had Velour? What do you think your biggest accomplishment?
Well, I think the easy answer is probably all the successful bands that have come from the stage. I think it is a little broader than that as well. I mean, I think it's all those success stories. I think it's also that we have deep relationships with all these artists still to this day, all these years later. I also think just the impact Velour's had with downtown Provo. I mean, I've been here a lot of years, and there was a lot of years where there was really no reason to come downtown Provo at night. There wasn't a lot going on.
Having grown up in Provo, what Corey is saying is 100% true.
And I've heard from so many businesses downtown that a lot of the reason they opened up, restaurants, other retail and stuff, was because they saw a nightlife that was happening that started a lot of times with Velour, and then Velour inspired rooftop concert series, a lot of things that were going on that created an energy downtown that I think affected a lot of other businesses, not just this. So I'm definitely proud of how we've affected that.
They really provide a refreshing type of social atmosphere that wasn't quite here before.
I mean, a lot of people have said that Velour is like a church to them, or like they found it's their safe place where they feel at home, where they found their people. Maybe they don't fit in everywhere else. And this music community is very much like a family. It's not just a bunch of bands here that come and play here. Like it is for sure a community, And I think that's also something very cool that maybe Velour brings to the table is that, yeah, it's very humbling to hear from so many people, or just so many people met their spouses here and got married, like things I didn't even know that I was lucky enough to find out when we were going through these hard times, and just getting all these personal messages during all that time. Which again, this is not always an easy job. It's an all ages venue. Like, venues make their money on alcohol.
A typical music venue relies on 80 to 90% of its revenue to be made through alcoholic sales. And for the Velour not to have any alcoholic sales and survive as a music venue shows the tenacity and passion Corey has for the Velour and the community support that has come through for the venue.
And so to hear all that stuff, it was definitely a motivator to keep it going, to push through all those tough times. Being misinterpreted early on, when we opened, I think we were looked at by the neighbors and the city as like, oh, what is this, maybe a bad element, coming into town? What is this music? Not knowing that I've been running venues for years and years and there weren't problems, but to have that, to start that way, and then have, 5 years later, the mayor coming to our Christmas shows and the rooftop concert series, and like every speech at the time, the mayor talking about the Provo music scene. That's one example. Having a place for young artists to find their voice, I think that's another thing where Velour stands out. Most venues are in other places or bars. People there's no real place to play until they're 21, besides maybe a small coffee shop here and there. I've been told specifically by like record label representatives, when they've come out here to check out some of our bigger bands when they're on their way up, that they love the Provo music scene because they feel like all these bands are so much further ahead than they are in these other places, because they were able to play at a legitimate venue at a super young age. Funny, because over the years I've been asked a lot, like, why aren't you in Salt Lake, or why aren't you in LA? I think people think I somehow got stuck opening a venue in Provo, where I tell them all the time, like, I chose to do this venue in Provo. Like, there's something special here, and that isn't like really anywhere else around, and I wouldn't do a venue anywhere else.
To wrap it up, I think it's been made clear of the impact one guy can have not only for the community, but the world. And that's the Provo advantage.